Rob Thomas with Club and Resort Business, and welcome to another episode of Club and Resort Talks. Today's episode is sponsored by KE Camps. KE Camps provides the highest quality in children's summer camps at country clubs. The unique setup at KE Camps offers children opportunities to experience a variety of dynamic and innovative programs, all customized to the particular needs of the club. KE Camps is dedicated to creating a family-friendly and inclusive atmosphere at each and every partner club. They strongly believe in the accomplished by providing a joyful camp experience for each and every camper. Learn more at kecamps.com. With that, let's throw it over to Phil Keren, our senior editor. Phil, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you?
Terrific. Hey, what do we got going on in the news? It's a busy last few days, obviously, coming off
Yeah.
the holiday.
Yes.
What's happening in the news on clubandresortbusiness.com?
Well, and we do. We hope all our listeners and viewers have enjoyed the holiday season so far here. I know I have. Um, One thing, actually, I guess in the spirit of that a little bit, I thought this was an interesting story that we saw last week. Cedar Crest Country Club in Quincy, Illinois, um, had some difficulty with one of their irrigation ponds. I guess the summer conditions, dry conditions you have with that weather, left that pond running low. And a neighbor actually offered a solution. A gentleman named Paul Mast told the club he would see if there was a way he could help. He actually took action himself. He hired a contractor to cut an excavation from a 3-acre pond that was on his property, and to help then replenish a lake on the fourth fairway at the club. So help them out with their pond. And he also explained, Paul Mast explained, he's not a member of Cedar Crest, but he still wanted to make sure that Cedar Crest Country Club could keep providing a place for locals, golfers to go and enjoy playing golf. He said the club does great stuff for the community. He said they keep their rates at a level that lets blue collar folks come out and use the course. So I thought that was, excuse me, cool story. So not something we see very often. Spirit of giving, sort of. Neighbor helped out the club with their irrigation pond, and kind of fitting for our holiday season here, Rob.
Yeah, terrific story. I guess he and his wife also, I don't know if this was at the end of the article, donated some money for the city to buy and train a German Shepherd canine unit for the police department. So they're doing a lot, giving back to the community. Just another story, and it's fantastic hearing people doing something, kind of being selfless, I guess. It's not benefiting him. You and I were talking, the guy's like 90 years old. He's not out there playing golf every day,
Mhm.
but he loves his community. He likes what the club is doing for their members and the community, and terrific. Love hearing those stories.
Yeah, I really do. As he saw a need and also saw a way that he could help out. He had, with his own property, he was going to be able to do something to help them out and went ahead with it. Great to see, for sure. Another story, we've talked a lot in the past about new entry points to the game of golf that are coming up. We're seeing more and more unique and different ways. And of course, one of the ones that has become common over the last few years is Top Golf. And Top Golf last week announced they were breaking ground on another venue, this time in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's going to open in late 2024. 72 outdoor climate controlled hitting bays over 2 levels. Um, they'll have, as the people who are familiar with Top Golf know, it's going to have the lounge type furniture, also high top tables where groups can watch the other players. You're going to have the top tracer technology to trace the golf ball's flight path, distance, other metrics. And also, one thing too I wanted to mention about Top Golf, this, of course, this Top Golf in Greensboro, Rob, will have a full service restaurant manned by executive chefs, also music and year round family friendly programming. But I was thinking about that as we were coming on. We've been in the Top Golf that's just outside of Cleveland, and then there's a Big Shots Golf down the road from me here outside of Akron, or actually that's in Akron, which is actually now going to become a Top Golf in 2024. One common theme with these places too is that we don't talk about enough, I feel like, is they have excellent food and beverage offerings and service. And there's no doubt there's something about that that's being added to it. It isn't just about offering golf to people who either have never played, who play a lot, somewhere in between. you're offering sort of an experience there. I mean, I've been to both of those facilities I just mentioned. The food and beverage to me there is good enough to where I would take my wife out there for an evening and have a meal there. Now, if we do the golf too, that's great. If not, but and that's the thing. I think they're trying to offer a very well-rounded experience for people, uh, to bring them to the game of golf, but also just to offer something, um, something it just can be an evening to enjoy, especially here during the holiday season.
Yeah, food and beverage is such a big part of the club. I was wondering
Mhm.
if other clubs would consider opening up their practice facilities, their driving range for something along that line to have events, to have corporate events, whether it's meetings or whatever the case may be, at the driving range. Put food and beverage out there. Set up a bar, a grill, people hitting golf balls, playing music. Under the lights. We had a guy we had on the podcast talking about how they've done just that, kind of made entertainment on their driving range. So it's a big deal. Top Golf is fantastic. It's growing. It's bringing a lot more people into the game. Let's hope it translates and gets them from facilities like that over to the golf course, become members and future dues paying members, and bring more money into the game and keep infusing cash.
Absolutely. I like your idea, Rob. I think that would be interesting to see if clubs would try to do that, offer their practice facilities, their driving ranges to folks to and have it be sort of an evening that would be akin to being in a place like Top Golf and try it out like that again with the idea of hopefully growing membership over time.
Yeah, driving ranges are usually set aside. They're not front and center because they're not pretty. They're not the golf course. They're usually kind of tucked away, so it's not easy to get food and beverage out there. Just if somebody wants to call up, hey, can send me a burger and fries, a couple beers. But if you're setting up for that particular occasion, I think it's certainly manageable. They have those mobile carts. We have the Fire Within is a big sponsor here. Set up,
Mhm.
have some wood fired pizzas going out there. Some draft beer, mixing some transfusions, and let's make a night of it.
Right, absolutely. Well, if anybody's listening, any club GMs are listening and have either done that in the past or are thinking about doing it, feel free to drop me a line, Keren at WTWHmedia.com. And
Do it.
well, yeah, absolutely. See what folks have to say about it. It'd be interesting to hear what they have to say. Another story recently Tanglewood National Golf Club in Chagrin Falls, Ohio, has been sold to new owners. And I guess it's been on the market for almost a year. They're now owned by a group led by Scott Pollock, who also lives in Chagrin Falls. And he's taking over from Mark Tiefel and Warren Wolfson. Those two gentlemen had owned the club for about 15 years and are planning to retire now. Also among the new owners is Matthew Creech, along with his wife Jennifer. They own and operate the Golf Dome, which is a year-round practice facility in Chagrin Falls, and they're also just planning a lot of big projects and investments before the 2024 season starts. I was thinking, Rob, too. I was reading about it. It's nice to see that there is a new owner now moving in after it was on the market for a long time. It's first open. Tanglewood was first opened in 1967. Was a private club most of its life. Became a public course in 2009, but it has some history there too. They hosted tournaments such as the 1972 Cleveland Open. Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer were both there playing in that. It's also home to banquet facilities and a grand ballroom that can accommodate about 200 people. So great to see that it will be under new ownership, getting some new investment put into it. Um, we've seen a lot of changes in ownership with courses and facilities, and it's good to see that this one has a new owner and things are moving forward with that.
Yeah, yeah. Matt Creech is a friend of mine, former director of golf at Mayfield Sandridge. He's done fantastic things at the Golf Dome, including, I mean, they deflated the dome, fixed it all up, put TrackMan in there. Outside the dome, there's a miniature golf course. There's baseball fields. So we're doing a lot for the community there at Chagrin Falls. And his wife Jen, I believe, is still the head golf pro at the Country Club in Pepper Pike, Ohio. and if I'm not mistaken, the girls golf coach at Hawken, my kid's school. So big in the community, the Creeches. Looking forward to getting out Tanglewood this year. I know they have big plans out there to improve and keep bringing things up. So congratulations and great news.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rob, I should mention now too that I recently had a conversation with the country club at Buffalo, two leaders out there. Actually, speaking of country club in Pepper Pike, one of the participating teams in the country club of Buffalo's event was the country club there in Pepper Pike, Ohio. The country club Buffalo, though, in Williamsville, North New York, uh, hosted its second annual Sporting Clays Invitational in early November. This year, they had 7 teams. Besides their own team, they also had uh, Longview Club and Golf Course in Verona, Pennsylvania. As I just mentioned, the Country Club in Pepper Pike, Ohio. Medinah, a country club in Medinah, Illinois. The Country Club, this time in Brookline, Massachusetts. Country Club of Rochester, New York, and Kirtland Country Club in Willoughby, Ohio. So actually, a couple representatives from Ohio. And this was their second Sporting Clays Invitational. Had a team competition and an individual competition. Participants, in addition to having the shooting competition, they also had an opportunity to enjoy great meals from the club's chef, Joe Piazza. Also played golf on the club's Donald Ross designed golf course. Course itself was also upgraded by Robert Trent Jones in the 1950s. So I recently had a chance to talk with Kevin Clarke, who was the chair of the event and also the Country Club Buffalo's team captain, and Nick Markel, who's the general manager at the club. And they both shared their thoughts on how everything went with the event. Kevin shared thoughts on specifics with the competition. Nick talked more about what happened among sort of behind the scenes and how he coordinated his staff to welcome in about 40 or 50 people for the competition. Everything went well, and they're looking forward to doing this again in 2024.
All right, fantastic. Hey, let's get to that video. And after the video, please, everybody go to clubandresortbusiness.com to read more about the stories we talked about. Country Club Buffalo's on there a number of times. Take care, stay well, and have a great day.
Welcome to Club and Resort Talks. I'm Phil Keren, Senior Editor with Club and Resort Business. Well, the Country Club of Buffalo hosted its second annual Sporting Clays Invitational on November 3rd and 4th of this year. And we recently posted a recap story about the event on our website at clubandresortbusiness.com. Joining us today on Club and Resort Talks to talk about the event are Kevin Clarke, who chaired the event and served as captain of the Country Club of Buffalo Sporting Clays team, and Nick Markel, general manager at the Country Club of Buffalo. Kevin and Nick, welcome to Club and Resort Talks.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks for having us. Thanks for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, I know this is the second year for the event. Tell us a little bit about how the event, for folks who weren't familiar with the event coming into this, tell us about the event, how it came about, and why your club decided to host it.
Well, we have a very history of sporting clays here in Buffalo, almost 100 years, and we have 5 very unique fields and a very strong, robust program with many of the members participating. And we've had other clubs come in and look at and participate in our facilities, and they said, "Hey, we'd love it, to come back." So, working with Nick and some of the folks here, I said, let's see if we can put together an event on the golf side here. We have a similar event called the League of the Lower Lakes. And it's sort of framed after that.
Okay, very good. Very good. And I know last year there were, I think you had teams from 4 different clubs. This year, I know that number expanded to 6. Tell us about I guess all of the participating teams, but particularly the new ones and how those new ones were brought into the competition.
Well, as we spoke in the past, we had 2 or 3 stops because of COVID, and Nick and his folks were great to continue to allow us to pursue this tournament. So we did have 3 visiting teams, Longview, Brookline, and Country Club of Rochester come in for the first event. And the first event was so successful, people wanted the first right of refusal which said we get an invitation coming back, which of course we honored. And the new clubs, which we doubled, which was Pike in Cleveland, Kirtland, the Cleveland area, and of course Medinah, who wound up winning the event. At the end of this event, everybody asked for their first right of refusal. So now we have 7 teams, which will come back in the first week of November of 24 to compete again for the honor to win the trophy.
Okay, very good. Talk a little. I know, in addition to the expansion of the field, were any other parts of the competition changed this year from last year to this year?
Well, yeah, we had a very robust practice time because many of the folks had not shot here before, and our brush walk is, we think, the last one in the U.S. It is so complex and so challenging. We felt it unfair to bring clubs in and have them go right to competition, so we dedicated some time for the people that hadn't shot that on Thursday afternoon. Same thing with our 5-stand. So yes, we made some changes other than, doubling the size of the field. We also went from a 500 bird shoot team to 1,000 bird shoot. So it was quite challenging, but it turned out extraordinarily well.
And I guess, kind of leading into that, Kevin, then can you talk a little bit about what happens on each day of the competition? I know you referenced already that the practice round, but maybe start with that and then kind of go through the couple days that happen there at the Country Club of Buffalo.
Well, the scheduling is quite complex. So all the teams are scheduled for the individual events so that we get everybody through. And so the first day, each team is going to shoot 4 events, 50 birds per shooter. And in some teams did take the opportunity to bring 6 players versus 5. So from that standpoint, they know when they come in what they're going to shoot. And some of the teams actually asked us what ammo we were going to use, and they bought the ammo in the summer and shot that ammo all year, which I thought was quite interesting. But a large tent. We had lots of volunteers. We have safety officers on each of the fields, which is probably unique. These people are very well trained. I mean, Nick and his team did an extraordinary job. Our facilities our brush walk is located about, 1,000 yards from our primary fields. We had our valets taking guys up and down. It was sort of a ballet of Sporting Clays.
Okay, very good. And as I understand it, with the competition, there's also a chance for the visiting teams to kind of experience the rest of the facilities as well. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Jump in.
Sure. Yeah. So when the teams arrived early for their practice rounds, either the night before the practice rounds or the day of, they were able to use our food and beverage facilities, come in and have some dinner. And then we also opened up golf access. We were very fortunate to have a beautiful weekend that weekend. So we opened up golf access either prior to or after the invitational. So they got to enjoy our Donald Ross golf course as well.
And Nick, on that, just curious, what was the feedback from visitors on playing the golf course? What were their thoughts on it?
Everyone that played enjoyed it. It's a beautiful course we're blessed to have, and a great team that takes beautiful care of it. So very, very proud, that we moved up on the Golf Week rankings this year to number 74 of the Classic Top 100. So very proud of our golf course and the condition we keep it in, and very happy to share it with our friends coming in for the invitational.
And it sounds like, oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Well, one of the things that, our new good friend and captain of the Medinah team, the vistas that they, especially over our 18th hole that looks over from our back of our terrace dining room, looks over the 18th hole and our brush walk. And it is a spectacular rock garden, a spectacular visual. And we have several holes out there that have been featured as well. Our par 3s have been featured as some of the best in the country. So the guys loved it. And you never know, the first week in November in Buffalo, could have been different, but the only thing the guys complained about, it was too sunny in the morning, but being from Buffalo, nobody ever complains about being too sunny.
That's funny. A moment ago, I was about to say, it sounds like so far these 2 years of the competition, the weather gods have smiled on you guys out there in Buffalo, in the Buffalo area, right?
Unbelievable. Yes,
Yes.
unbelievable. Very lucky.
Uh, and then Nick, can you talk a little bit about, from your standpoint as general manager of the club, a little bit? Kevin touched on it a little bit, but maybe have you expand on it a little bit of what's happening behind the scenes with your employees as this event's being carried out through those 3 days.
Sure. Yeah. We're always thrilled to. We think we have something pretty special here at the Country Club of Buffalo, and we're always thrilled to share our brand of service with people visiting from other clubs. On the operational side, our agronomy team, which is usually right around 40 during peak season in the summertime, shrinks in the off season to 9 or 10. All of them are, as Mr. Clarke was referring to, NRA certified safety officers. So they also double as our range officers during the shooting season. So led by our superintendent, Anthony Tosh, they really took charge of the entire operation down at the shooting lodge. And then, we're very fortunate to have a very talented events team and food and beverage team. So our events coordinator thought of every little detail possible, including, Mr. Clarke was talking about having valets run people between fields and making sure that we have people staffed appropriately. And then obviously our culinary team, Chef Joe Piazza was thrilled to show off a little bit and produce some wonderful lunches and just a beautiful champions dinner. So, not anything outside of the ordinary of what we normally would do, which is, take care of every little detail and provide world-class service.
And
I'll just add one thing. I don't want to embarrass Nick, but his people, every detail. I mean, and they loved it. I mean, they loved the challenge. There was not one person in this club that didn't know these people were coming in. And from the time they came in until the time they left, they had extraordinary care. And at our champions dinner, every one of the clubs got up and expressed that. So I think Nick, to a certain point, has understated that he does that every day. But so good news to each of the folks that supported. And there was a lot of them.
Well, good, excellent. That's great to hear. And I was going to ask then, kind of to follow up with this train of thought. So, Nick, I know we have a lot of other general managers of country clubs listening to our program, watching our program. With that in mind, Nick, I just wanted to ask you, and I know you kind of touched on some of that already, but just from your perspective as general manager, maybe talk a little bit about some of the challenges you face organizing an event like this, and talk about a little bit of how you tackle those challenges with your staff.
Sure. So I think a lot of the challenge on the organizational side, setting the event up, is just getting in contact with everybody. It tends to be, especially at clubs, shooting programs especially seem to be led by volunteer leaders, which Mr. Clarke, we're so blessed to have really took command of that. And between myself and the admin staff, reaching out to the other clubs, making sure that we get the names, their billing information, their down payments, et cetera. The first 2 years is we've been setting up the model. I think going forward it'll be whole lot easier, especially now that the other clubs are more familiar with the process and the tournament. And then also, from a marketing standpoint, I think just getting people on board with understanding what a special and unique event it is, and great to see the field expand this year, and we hope to expand again next year to some qualified, high level clubs that we'd love to host. So from an organizational standpoint, that's probably the biggest challenge, is just getting all our ducks in a row, and as with any new event, just launching it and figuring out, you don't know what you don't know, so figuring out those little holes in the process along the way has been fun, but I think we're prepared to make it even bigger and better next year.
Absolutely. Great. Kevin, I guess really I was thinking too, I probably should turn that same question to you as a member of the club and somebody who's volunteered to chair this event, kind of the same question, but from from your perspective, what are the challenges you're facing as organizing this event, and how do you tackle those?
Well, after, as Nick said, after the first event, we did a pretty comprehensive postmortem on what we could do to make it better. And we did make some changes, but there is an enormous amount of details. For example, local hotels, getting people back and forth to the hotels, gun safety, gun storage. In certain parts, we shot 12,000 rounds, so we had to have ammo. All the machines had to be redone. I mean, not redone, made sure they were going to work and prepped and PM'd. This year, we went to a huge tent, not knowing what the weather was going to be, and that worked out extraordinarily well. And then the rooms are the clubs were competing for the 6 rooms. We have beautiful rooms we have here. So some of the clubs will come in the winter. We're encouraging them to come in and shoot. And one of the teams came in. They said, "We're in the tournament. We want all the rooms." And so but it really takes a lot of people here. Nick's administrative support was extraordinarily important for me as we got everything lined up. Chris Randall, who was my co-chair, unfortunately had a business issue and he could not be here for this tournament, but he was very intimately involved in the scheduling, which was quite robust when you're moving 40 or 50 people and they all need to move together, so to say, to keep on schedule. So there's a lot that goes on, and we're gonna do a postmortem probably in early February. Get some changes that we want to make out to the clubs, confirm the dates, and hopefully know if I know we have one additional club that's applied, and we have other people that are asking about the details. Hopefully go to 10. And if we get the right component, maybe look to go to 12. But I think once we get to 12, we're sort of hamstringed beyond that.
And I guess actually to follow up on that point, I know you made it clear you're planning to have the event again next year. And the goal is, do you have a goal? You had 6 teams in the event this year. How many?
7
teams are you
teams.
hoping to have?
We had 6 visiting teams in Buffalo. 7.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I missed, but that's right. You had 6 visiting teams, and with Buffalo's own team, Country Club of Buffalo's own team, you had 7. How many teams are you hoping to then have in 2024? What's the goal there?
I think we'll have 10.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get the right component of teams, we might try to push to 12. But I think once we get to 12, we're done, because we want to keep it a sort of a 2-day tournament. We don't want to expand it beyond that.
Right. If you expand beyond that, you're then having to add on more days to host folks there at the club, right? It's a whole logistical thing then, right? Sure. Okay, very good. Well, Nick and Kevin, if club leaders are watching this or listening to this, and they're interested in sending a team to the event, how would they go about reaching out to you, gentlemen?
I think reaching out to Nick, and Nick can surely give my coordinates if there's more details they need, but probably the primary contact. You okay with that, Nick?
Absolutely.
Nick would be the primary contact.
Okay, very good. So reach out to Nick Markel there at Country Club of Buffalo.
That's right. All my information is listed on CMAA website, so anyone can find it there, or on our websites, www.ccofbuffalo.org.
Okay, very good. We'll put that up here too, as we air this podcast. Well, Nick and Kevin, congratulations on the event. Looks like went extremely well, and I certainly wish both of you the best of luck going forward with the event and with everything else happening at the Country Club of Buffalo as we head into 2024.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks for your time. You've been a great advocate, and many people have learned about the event through your articles. So we appreciate your support.
Absolutely. Thank you, Phil, and happy holidays.
Yeah. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to both of you as well. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I just want to let everybody else know, listening today, watching today, remind them that you can see other episodes of Club and Resort Talks by visiting clubandresortbusiness.com. Till then, take care, stay well, and happy holidays.